Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm in a different location than usual because I've traveled to a different city in Sweden to stay with a client, as in I've actually moved in with him in his apartment to force him to do all the things that's been difficult for him to stay consistent with on his own. So this morning I woke him up at 6 a.m. I made him take a cold shower, which was a big surprise for him, but he felt very proud that he did it. Made him drink electrolytes first thing in the morning, which of course isn't very difficult, but so important though. It might be one of the hottest days we've had so far this summer. And then we went to hit a fasted workout in the morning, heavy ass workout, and then to pick up good healthy food, cook it together, eat it together. And apart from these things, many interesting discussions about all these things, of course, like the self-development, fitness, psychology, mindset, and so on is what we'll be doing this week. So afterwards, I'll definitely do a video about the entire experience because it's interesting, but to also put out there for anyone else that feels like, hey, that could be something that's really useful for me. But of course, hiring a jacked and stacked blonde Giga Chad narcissist to stay with you is quite pricey. So I don't know how to go on from that. It just seemed like a good transition into the topic of the video. Me and how I'm a Giga Chad narcissist, right? So let's start here. Ever since I started Uncommon Sense 7 years ago, and I don't just mean the YouTube channel or the fact that I now do coaching, like the brand Uncommon Sense. I mean when I started transitioning from my old self, that skinny fat, loser, hedonist, nihilist, anxious, depressed guy that was always just on a reality escape through vices, drinking too much weed, junk food, drinking too much weed. Like I didn't drink weed. But yeah, all the poor things, right? And going through this panic attack phase, and then started transitioning into my current self and lifestyle, right? I did this stuff for about a year offline before I had any YouTube channel, is what I'm saying. And ever since, I wouldn't say that it's common, but it's been reoccurring that people will accuse me of being a narcissist, either directly to my face or behind my back. And of course, people are generally more brave and outspoken when they're anonymous behind the safety of a screen on a comment section. But in real life, of course, people, the anonymous people, it shows you what a lot of people go around and think, though. Because in your life, people are all nice to your face and that you hear what they say behind your back. And before I go on, I just want to tell you guys that I know some of you worry that I focus too much on negativity, which of course has happened from time to time, but I'm not blind to the fact that overwhelmingly, since the start, both in my real life and online, the response I've gotten is overwhelmingly positive, right? So I totally love and appreciate you guys. It's great. Like I am, of course, willfully provocative at times. Like many things are provocative about me, but I actually play into it many times. And then you have to kind of roll with the punches. But of course, it's not always easy to feel misunderstood and that people would make you out to be something that you kind of feel you're the opposite of. So I totally love and appreciate you guys. And I actively remind myself of that if I'm in a worse place. It just so happens that the best points are usually made from focusing on the negative stuff, as in the shitty behaviors people have, right? Like, of course, every once in a while I made a video talking about like the experience of being a ripped person, like how people treat you, the like motivation in that sense, but focusing on shitty things people do, because we're focusing on just shitty people. They just do it worse than us others, right? They reveal to us things that we do also, right? So I'll take an example that the person that comments in a comment section, take the nastiest, just negative person, that would, for instance, attack someone like me, like, oh, that you have to show off like that to feel good about yourself, or that you even had to do anything about your body. I can feel good about myself without doing that, and even if you do it, you shouldn't show off like that. It's not necessary, I am in good shape, but I will be more, whatever, what I see, what we human beings do is if we're not self-aware enough, we know our triggers and we can kind of pause and reflect on what's going on here when we have a reaction to someone else. What we try to do, the ego, we try to always rationalize, tell stories and make sense of things in a way that makes us come out on top, right? Many times from the immature ego, it's to try to then attack the other person so they don't have to face, or we don't have to face something about ourselves. But also it's about telling a lie about what you're doing when you're actually doing something else, right? So for this reason, I've had to call myself out on many of these things throughout the years, right? That's how I started changing after panic attacks, realizing like, yeah, I had many poor behaviors. I did many things wrong. I have to face some things about me so I could do differently and do better. But for this reason also, when I get the input of being a narcissist, if it happens over and over, anything that's a pattern in your life, it does say something about you. Not necessarily the truth that's just true because people say it, but it does say something about you. So I've reflected on it a lot, and I thought it could be an interesting video for you to hear my rationale about all the things that people would make me out to be a narcissist about, my rationalizations, my story about it, right? And as always, yes, I'm talking about me, but I'm the example of the points I'm making. I want people to reflect on themselves and on people and how we do things in general, okay, right? So let me just tell you, in real life, it was the case that when I started, like I'm doing it all offline, but when I had reached what I thought was a certain first point in my transformation, going from the typical person you see in my before pictures to just decent shape, some abs, a little bit of muscle, not really ripped, not really big, but a definite change, right? In my head, when I posted these pictures and told the story about what I'd been through for everyone on my private social media and how I had to face the panic attacks and then found these ways to feel better, to me it was so obvious that the look and the body is just sort of like, how should I put it? Well, it is an expression. Like I always say, I thought of it back then the same way. The external is a manifestation of the internal. So telling, I used to be like this and showing the guy that looks a certain way. I did these things. Now I'm doing these things, and I look this way. It shows. It's a visual representation of what the change the person has gone through. But in my head, it was always like, I've always been like that, by the way, that when I find something that's positive, like, man, I can't believe this. I was always feeling so shitty. I thought my life was over with these panic attacks. I cannot believe that I could change it this way. People need to know. There are people in a similar spot. They need to know, And so when I posted that, it was very positive, right? And then people were in life when I talked about with them too. But I started hearing these things that like, okay, good for him, but does he need to show off all the time? Like, just because he thinks he's so cool now, he thinks he's so hot now, or that kind of thing, And of course, we face different levels of our insecurities in this life, because I have definitely, since I've worried sometimes, like, am I arrogant? I'm a narcissist. Do I do that kind of thing too much sometimes, But at the time, I actually couldn't feel too bad about it, because it was more like interesting to me, like, really? That's what some people's takeaway is from when I felt so fucking shitty, I almost killed myself, and I tell them how happy I am from what I found now. And you think that, he thinks he's hot now, showing off the body is what it's about. It was more like, wow, people really think that. For this reason, that's actually a thing that pushed me into doing these other social media accounts, right? That, okay, well, I'll not force anyone that doesn't have to. Like that had me, knew me privately and suddenly see me post some things about this, right? Okay, I'm not going to push it in anyone's face. And of course, you notice that people still have a criticism. Even when you will see people in your life that they don't want to follow your account, but you can see who watches your Instagram stories, for instance. You will see who is a hate follower from your private life. I'm not going to press follow. I'm going to behind the scenes follow and look and talk shit and judge you. But so that's just one thing that happens. Like, you realize that happens over and over, right? And there's been so many people that that you hear that kind of thing about, and then it will come around later. But let me talk about a few things then that I think people think is like narcissistic. First of all, this without like even needing to look a certain way to feel good about yourself. Well, I was probably a more narcissistic person in the past, because I cared way much more about my looks, even if I gave up on the physical side of things, because I kind of noticed that, I can get laid anyway, I don't have to look a certain way. But I was way conscious about how I dressed and what I put in my hair and shit, what haircut I had, all this stuff. So I was actually way more like shallow and looks oriented then. For me now, I found it by accident almost, that when I started doing things to just feel good about myself, and I saw what person I became when I had to become disciplined, not always do what I felt like, and that it just so happened that as a side effect, I got this physical result, right? And now I can have a lot of fun with that, but it's never been the end all be all, right? It's not really how I look, it's not really how I feel good about myself. It's a person I become, and then I just know that people want to have a certain look, and it's about your levels of understanding of the things. I try to focus on the look, pull you in with the look, be like this in my videos to get your attention for it. And then I want to talk about this other perspective, like don't do it just to be shallow. Like yeah, you might get better interest from girls that value a healthy lifestyle and stuff like that. It definitely helps, you know, but do it first and foremost for you, because it's good for you, but do it from a higher value and put the physique as more a thing you enjoy on the side of it, right? Like that. And then of course the talking about it, like talking about being ripped, being jacked, stacked, Giga and all this stuff. Well, first of all, what people like to tell you that you should be modest and shit, you know. But when you say certain things about you that, like for instance, I think I look fucking insane. I look in the mirror, it's like, it's insane to me that I look like that. You know, some people will now get triggered by me saying that. It's just the truth of the fact I look so differently from most people. I could have never thought that I looked this way. So that's what people have to realize. You have people, when they tell you you should be humble. Well, you're not humble to the fact that you cannot talk about that even. You cannot even choose to be humble about it because you look like a little slob, okay? You will be triggered that I say that too. But of course, I exaggerate these things also by... like the jacked and stacked Giga chat and stuff, you know. It's like, it's to make the contrast. I used to be skinny, fat, loser, hedonist kind of guy. Now, jacked and stacked, Giga chat, everything a man should be, you know. Like, it is to make a big contrast, but it is also to be triggering. I trigger people consciously, poke you in the wound, so you get the chance to wake up. That is just a fact. Like, I can talk about it in a calmer manner, but I can just say, well, I went from what I thought was kind of a poor excuse for a man to one of the best men I know, at least. And that's just the facts. That's the facts of it. You can feel that way about you. And in the end, it's not that everyone should be like, yes, you're great, and tell me that. That's like, yes, sure, enjoyable for me, but I want that for you. That's always been my thing. I want that for you. The experience I have, the things that people who think you're too full of yourself, don't take so much space. Don't say those things about you. Well, I want you to feel that about you, so that you can say those things about you, you little shit. Right? What more is it? Like, well, even the being shirtless in public and stuff, that, oh, it's to get attention and blah, 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 blah. The thing is, no, mainly, you know, in the summer now, I want to sun max. And I'm a fucking fitness coach, you know. It's like, yes, I among other things I coach is fitness. Yes, I use it to gain attention in that way. But mainly, I want to sun max. Like, because you're pale and fat, you know, that you don't dare to show yourself. Don't make up in your head that there's something wrong about me wanting to expose myself to the sun. I don't go out like this in the evening if I just go out. I mean, because when I go shirtless quite a bit in areas where it makes sense, you know. But for instance, now I'm in a new location. I actually feel a bit uncomfortable with just like, I've tried to find a spot where no one will pass by. I'm not trying to show off to anyone here. Like, yeah, I'm using it for my marketing, but mainly I want the sun. When there's no sun out, I will not go out like this. It's like, oh, it's so funny when you talk about it, because to me, like, that's what for you to tell, right? To tell me or to reflect on yourself. Are these all my made-up lies that I use to rationalize my narcissism, that I just want everyone to look at me and think I'm the greatest and blah, 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 blah? No, I want, there's a rational reason for all of this that doesn't come from just look at me, make me feel good about myself, give me attention and praise me. But like that, and I want these things. I want you to feel that way for you. But of course, that's the last thing I'll say. If we talk about what a narcissist actually is, you know, people will attribute slightly different things from their experiences, of course. I think many times narcissist is just what people tell someone that they feel below, you know, that they feel they are under and make something out of it. You're too much. You're too full of yourself. You shouldn't do that. You're a narcissist. It's actually, my experience is that people that call others narcissists a lot are the actual more narcissistic people. That being said, we all have narcissistic tendencies, like the tendencies to want attention. That is a narcissistic trait, and I definitely enjoy attention, but I always talk about the kind of hierarchy, but just like with a body. Like, it shouldn't just be, I want to look good so people like me, you know. It should come from a higher value, but then there's nothing wrong with getting to enjoy that as a side effect, right? And that's the thing now. In the past, when I was younger, when I wanted to train, all I thought about was like being attracted to girls, mainly. Getting a little bit of credit, but I was always more driven by that, right? Which it was just never about now. But I can definitely enjoy the attention. I like that I get the attention on my YouTube channel. It feels good for me personally, absolutely. being admired by people, that's something narcissists need. Yeah, that feels good to me too, but I want to be admired. Like when you're a more insecure person, you kind of, you want lies, like people telling you lies about being stroked, whatever, that just huffs and puffs you up, you feel good about. I want, if I want to be admired, it's because I've actually done something admirable, you know. And then this, that you get attention and praise when you do things from value, that becomes sort of more, instead of what you're seeking, it's more, it's the actual, instead of validation, it's like a confirmation that yes, it's on the right track. People do like it. Yeah, that's great. I get to feel good about that. But I'll say that one thing about narcissists is that they want to put other people down in order to feel better about themselves. Like, look, of course, in a bad moment, when you're triggered, you can always make the other person be wrong. But let's say this, narcissists often use other people as a means just for whatever they need. If it is attention, you know, it's not always just to get like resources. It can be for these things. Attention from a person, feeling admired by a person. But in my life, actually, I've actually been more of the receiving end of that. People that see that, oh, this guy, he will kind of feel better. I can kind of make him, if I charm him, he's going to give me the kind of attention I want, or oh, he's going to feel like he has to, is he obligated to do things for me where I don't have to reciprocate, right? So, of course, we all have narcissistic traits, and yeah, that's my conclusion about myself. You know, I see that from my childhood, I had an attention deficit from growing up with an autistic brother. So I've, in a more toxic way, been driven to gain attention previously in my life. It's still a function I have that I will enjoy it. But that's what we do, guys. We have the same building blocks. We have the same wounds and stuff, you know, throughout the entirety of our lives. We just level up our way of dealing with it. So if you can do things that kind of address these needs you have to be validated, get attention, be admired, you address them, but more indirectly, by doing something positive for higher value and sort of getting that as a side effect. But this is the way I see it. Many of the things that people view as narcissistic about me, I feel are just good. They are just things that positive things, earned right to talk positively about yourself, and actually throwing it a bit in your face to trigger you and kind of make you realize that I wish I could be like that. I wish I could be like that. Because is there anything that I ever talk so proudly about myself about that is not true? You tell me, you know. But yeah, where do I even go on from that? It's like, in the end, guys, what I do here is like, yeah, I am super happy with what I found for myself. I love doing what I do, like the lifestyle, but what I get out of my work, other than just money, but even the fact that I can earn a living from doing these things, and that I will be a person that people look up to. But in the end, I'm so happy with what I found, and I wish the same thing for you. And that's what I'm driven by. And you be the judge, okay? But all these things are possible. I used to feel very differently about myself. And I would have been, like I often say, I would have been the most triggered of all, and thought I was the biggest narcissist. My old self would have thought that about my current self more than anyone. That should tell you something, okay? Please like and comment. Man, my video is so long. Loudmouth, big mouth. Yeah, do like and comment, be big mouth back. It's interesting, it helps the algorithm, that's where people see it. So very much appreciated. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, getting jacked and stacked mentally, physically, spiritually, working on ourselves, body, mind and soul, becoming a person, you know, whatever it is you see about me, your version about that, okay? If you're interested, you can send me a DM on Instagram or email me, it's in the description below. I'll get back to you with my different offers and with programs and offers. You can pick up my training book, everything, training, mindset, philosophy, that you need to become a jacked and stacked, self-reliant, jacked and stacked individual. Please subscribe. I'm getting like hot from the sun. Please subscribe for more content about fitness, fast losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Embrace the positive side of narcissism and just be a good person, okay? Like an actual good person, like I am, okay? Not you. Peace.